Now, if I were to ask you to design this basic structure of a website, you'll probably think, well, it's very, very easy. All I have to do is to add massive text, a bit of a description, a button, another bit of text, and an image, and we're done. But you are absolutely wrong. Now, when you look at this design, it looks really nice. It's really amazing. I know it's a bit of overboard, that it's very amazing, but something just looks right when you look at this design. And that is because they are using what is known as a UI spacing scale. Everything that's done here is very intentional. And it took me quite a bit of time for me to understand what was happening, because before, when I used to design websites, I just used to design websites. I didn't pay attention to the margins, the padding, and so on. But I didn't know there was a science behind that called the law of proximity. Now let's dive in and let me show you how I'm going to try and do this in Divi 5, and how this can take very, very long just to do something as basic as this. And then I'm also going to show you how to use the SiteCrafter framework to achieve this same design, but this time really, really fast. So this is one of those videos that you need to watch from start to end to really benefit from this. Okay, so let's get started. So here I have two websites, okay? This one here is your default Divi. I haven't done anything here. It's just a basic install. All I've done is I've gone in and I've changed the fonts to Poppins. Over here is where I have SiteCrafter, the framework for Divi 5 and Divi 4. So at the moment, it looks like nothing is really happening, but there's really power behind this design framework. All right, so let's start over here. So we're going to start designing our site. We'll ignore this because this is like a toggle, okay? We'll ignore that. We'll just replace that with something else. But let's head over first and just start using this text. So we're going to copy that. Now this is massive, so this is going to be a large heading. So let's go ahead and add a single column, and we're going to add a text module here. In fact, we need a heading module. So we're going to search for heading, and then we're going to paste it in there, and this is going to be our text. All right. So if we want to make this really large, we'll come over here to design, heading text, heading 1. We're going to center it first. Okay. And then we need to now come over here to the sizing. Now, one rule of thumb is if you want to design using pixels, it's not really recommended. So if you really want to use something that's a bit better in this, then you'd want to use EMs or REMs. Okay, they are much better in terms of usability, but in the framework we use fluid typography. The text just automatically just sorts itself out as the screen gets smaller and smaller. But I don't want to go into that too, right now. So let's try and establish how big our text is going to be. So I'm going to start with, let's say 20 rem. Let's see how big that's going to be. Okay, that's way too big. Let's bring it down a little bit until we get 2 lines. So I think that's the best we can go, 4 rem. Okay, now while we're doing this here, you'd be thinking, okay, well, the next logical thing is to actually go into our mobile editing. So we're going to come over here and we're going to say, okay, 4 rem. Let's bring it down a little bit, maybe 3. Okay, we're going to go with 3. And then here on the phone, we're going to go bring it down to about 2 rem. Okay, so this is how you would normally do it to have a website which is responsive, but this is going to be based on these breakpoints. Okay, all right, so that's one step done. Let's take a quick look here. What's next? Next, we have this basic text here. And again, we're just going to copy this text like that. And we're going to come back in here. And let's create another text module. And we're going to come over here and paste our text. And what we need here is to center it. I don't think we need to do anything with this text. So all we need is just to center it. So let's go ahead and do that. But when I look back here, I can see the text. Yeah, the text is fine. So we'll go with the default. Next, we're going to need a button. So we're going to click here on this plus button and search for our button module. Now, I'm not going to go bother and style this button because that's not the really the point of this tutorial. So let's go ahead now and align this. Okay, so far so good, and everything looks like, it's really, really cool. All right, so what else do we need? We need a bit of text, and that text was quite small if I recall. So let's go ahead and add that, and What does the text say? It says contact sales, right? We're going to copy that back over here. We're just going to go in and paste it. All right, we're almost there because all we need now, I think, is the image. But before we do that, let's just center our text by coming over here. And then we are going to center it. And now we need an image. So we are going to click on this plus button, search for our image module and select it. Okay, so do I have an image here in the library? No. All right, so I'm going to need an image. So let's head over to Pexels. This is a royalty-free library of images which you can use for your designs. So let's just go to our main page here and see if we can just grab something quickly that we can use for our design. Okay, let's go with this one here. Okay, it really doesn't matter which image. Oh, is this a video? I think that's a video. Okay, we need an image. So let's look for an image. I'm looking for something that's landscape because I can't really use an image that is not landscape. Okay, you know what? This is getting ridiculous. All right, so I'm just going to search for holiday and look for an image. I'm sure we'll get something here, and sure enough, we have quite a few. Let's go with this one here. All right, so we're going to come over here and go with 1920 by 1280. All right, download image. All right, so I think that's downloaded. So back over here now, I'm going to click on select files. And then here's our downloads, double click on that. And now I can go and upload the image. All right, so all I have to do now, now that I have my image, is to come over here to my design tab, alignment, and center this. Okay, so far when we look at this, we'll be thinking, well, isn't that the design? It may seem like we've nailed it, but not really. And I'll tell you why. We're going to come over here to X-ray. And when we add our X-ray here, when we take a look at this, in fact, let's take our measuring tool here so we can see. So if I come over here, this is 30, this is 30, this is 30. Now, do you see everything is all defaulted to 30, 30, 30, 30, 30, 30, 30, 30, right? So this is not the correct way of having your spaces on your website. Again, if we go back to the law of proximity, we need to group things that are alike together with the same spacing, and also we need to use a UI scale. All right, now remember the measurements that we had here. Let's get rid of my measuring tool. So if we take a look at this, I mean, you can totally see that this is different. I know it's very subtle, but it's important when you start designing complex layouts. I chose this because I didn't want this tutorial to be very, very long. Okay, so far when you take a look at this, we can see that this main heading here, this description, the button, and this, they're all one element. Okay, and then this here is on its own, and then this top button here is on its own. So we need to establish this in our design. So let's go ahead and let me show you how to achieve this. Okay, so now that we have this, we have to go into the painful process now of entering all our information manually. So what we need to do to achieve this is to use margins. So this here needs to be margin top. So we go to spacing, and then for margin top here, I'm going to say that's 4 rem. Okay. In fact, that's a bit too much. So let's go with 3 rem. Okay. Now on the button here, maybe we want to set this at 20 rem. So we'd come over here to spacing and go with 2 rem. Okay, so something very slight happened there. Not sure what it is. Okay, so do you notice that here I have 3 rem and here I have 2, but something very subtle happened. What happened there? Let's go and find out. So here we have 48, and here we have 32, and here we have 30. Okay, so let's go ahead now I mean, I'm already getting confused now in terms of the sizing because I'm entering something specific and I'm getting something else. All right, so let's go to spacing here. And we are going to say for the top one, it's 2 rem. Again, that's very subtle. And then on the image, we're going to go to spacing. And now we go to spacing. So let's go with 4 rem because now this information is totally different. Okay, the image is now on its own. I would even go as far as 5 rem even, just to distinguish our information here. So this top information here needs to be grouped together, law of proximity, and then this image here is on its own, so it shouldn't be very close to everything. All right, so now I'm going to disable my my X-ray here, but something is off with this design. I mean, so straight away, I can tell you that the browser brings its own padding when you start designing. So all this has to be reset. But before I talk about that, let's save this, okay? And let's do a quick preview. All right, so it's going to open this in a new tab. So you can see here, something is off. But what's important here is now if I make this smaller, do you see that we have a very serious problem here? I know it may sound like a small problem, but this is a very serious problem. These margins here are not fluid. Okay, they're not responsive. They're just stuck there. Look at the gaps between that. So this means we have to go back in and then say, okay, that margin that was let me bring myself on the screen here. That margin that was 4 rem or 3 rem now has to be 2.5 rem on a tablet and then 2 rem on a smartphone. And then you have to do that for each and every element. Now, do you see how the process of designing this simple thing can end up becoming, really ridiculous? Now, I say to a lot of people, or I used to say this when I used to design websites, oh, that's a basic website. You can do this over 2 days. No, do you see already this has taken us close to 12 minutes, okay? And we haven't even finished, all right? So I don't want to bore you now and spend even more time trying to tweak this. I want to show you now how I would achieve this in Divi 5. And by the way, before I do that, I now want to show you how the PayPal thing looks. If I make it smaller, can you see the text? It is responsive. Look at the spacing. It's just perfect. Okay, this is how we are supposed to be designing our websites. They're supposed to be fluid, responsive, and this is the reason why I created the SiteCrafter framework. Okay, now let's see how the SiteCrafter framework works. So I'm going to come over here to the About page, and again, I'm just going to drag this next to it so I can see what's happening. All right, so we're going to start here with this main text here. So we're going to do exactly what we were doing before, but I want you to notice the process here. We're going to start off with a single column. We're going to add a text module like that. And then over here, we are going to add our text like that. Okay. Next, we are now coming over here to advanced, CSS ID and classes, and then CSS class. So you may be thinking, well, what the hell is going on? Why am I not in the design tab? Why am I not doing all this in the design tab like how we were doing it before? Well, this is a brand new workflow that comes with SiteCrafter Divi framework. Okay, so how does this work? So basically, I have predefined items here that enables me to design the website super fast. For example, here, I want fluid custom headings. I'm going to come over here and then I'm going to say, okay, I need this extra large heading. Okay, I'm going to copy that, come over here to my page, and I'm going to say, okay, that's what I need. Bang. Do you see that? Now, this text, don't underestimate it. It is fluid. You don't need to go in and start entering the sizes like how I was doing before. In fact, I'm not editing this. This is pretty much being done as I am talking to you. In fact, you know what? We need to make this bigger. Add another X, all right? It needs to be centered. So I'm going to type in center. Okay, we're done with our text. And this is responsive. I know I keep saying responsive, responsive. Let me just show you at the end, okay? How responsive it is. Next, we need to add some text. There we go. I'm going to add my text. And what I'm going to do is, again, like how I did before, I'm just going to copy this like that. And then I'm going to come over here and, oops, paste it. Okay. So again, you may be thinking, well, this text is, it's a bit weird. It's too small. No worries. This is my SK-content. Okay. And we need it centered. So I'm just going to hit space, center. Okay. Now I know the line here has, gone into double lines, but I can just simply maybe remove the content and center it manually. I guess that could do as well. I'll come over here to design, text, and then I could center it manually if I need to do that. But why are we spending so much time if we can use our predefined classes? So let me just go back and add our content here, and it's going to be centered. So it's centered. Okay, fantastic. I think the next thing over here now is going to be the button. Again, I'm not going to style it, so I'm just going to go ahead and add it, and then all I need to do is to align center. Great. I know I have a bit of text. Let's go ahead and copy it. It is right here, the contacts below the button. And then I'm just going to go in, click on this plus button, add my text module like that. And I'm going to paste the text like that. Come over here to advanced, CSS IDEA classes, and this is going to be text dash extra small. Okay, do you see that the size has changed? And this needs to be centered. Okay, look at that. Isn't that crazy? Next, I'm going to click on this plus button. This time I need an image. There we go. Click over here, and this is the image that I'm going to use. And I'm just going to move myself out of the way here and then click on upload image. So now my image is in position, and all I have to do for my image, it needs to be centered, and now I'm good. So you're looking at this and saying, well, what the hell is going on? I mean, we don't even have the default margins on this content. I mean, is that a good thing? Well, everything has been reset in order for me to put in my margins, which are both for the UI scaling, which is the proper way of designing websites, and it is all the spacing is also fluid, which means it reduces with the screen size. Okay, so this is the fun part now. Let's go ahead and start adding all our spacing. So for this one here, this text that I've selected, we come over here to advanced, CSS ID classes, and then here we're just going to say margin dash top dash medium. Okay, so you can just eyeball this and just see, okay, do I need medium? Do I need large? Do I need small? Do I need extra small? It's up to you. Okay, so we've used medium here. So that means over here, I can go with advanced. And for my margin top, it's margin dash top. Margin dash top. This time we're going to go with small. Okay, do you see that? So this is predefined. So that means that over here on this little text here, we need to go with small as well. So I'm going to come over here to advanced, CSS ID and classes, space, and I'm just going to enter that. So now the spacing here is, oh, did that work? Okay, anyway, we'll check in a moment. Right, so this image here, our spacing could be large. Come over here, CSS ID and classes. So this becomes large. because it's on its own. It's not related to the information there on the top. Okay, now do you see how I managed to achieve this really, really fast? All right, I was able to go in and add all my spacing. So now if we add our X-ray, we are now going to notice that our spacing is really defined and we can see it nice and clear. I mean, it's unlike what we had before. Even if I bring my measuring tool here, you can see that over here, I have 15, 15, 30, okay? And then over here, we have 60. So I have increments of 15, but of course this scale depends on what, however you want to do it. Some go in increments of 4 and so on. But this spacing here is how it needs to be done properly. So what I could actually do here, because this is 60. Let me just add one more element here so that our design becomes even more exciting. I'm going to click here on this plus button and I'm going to search for my text module. Now for this, I'm going to add a notice, okay, on this page. So I'm going to come over here and just type in notice. Oops, the spelling is wrong. It's notice. Do you see that? Isn't that amazing? Can we center this? Yes, we've centered our text. And then finally, what we could do here is we can come over here to sizing and center the whole thing. And we can actually drag it to the top. Okay. Now, remember our spacing here is large. I could actually come over here and go to advanced, CSS ID and classes. And then I'm going to say margin top large. Okay, look at that. So this text here is a bit too much. Let's go in and fix that. We don't need that much text because this is just a quick notice. This could be, perhaps an error. So if that's an error, you could, or it's a warning, you can just come over here and apply it, or necessary. So let's say this is a notice, and then we have error, we have warning. So the colors just change, okay? Nothing fancy there. So I'm going to save that. Now there's one more thing we need to do for our margins, okay? Again, our margins are responsive. I can come over here, go to advanced, and you know what? For this one, I forgot what my class is for the margins. So what I'm going to do now is to come over here to my presets, and then I'm going to look for fluid section padding, and I'm going to say margin. Okay, let's go with large section. Okay, so I'm back over here. I'm going to go with large section. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. I'm going to save this and then preview it. Okay, now do you notice a difference? Do you notice a difference? This looks much better. I know I may be biased, but I want you to be honest with me. When you look at this and then compare that to this, which one looks better? Yeah. And if I bring this, I mean, isn't this now starting to look very interesting? Look at that. Even if I remove this, okay, let's go ahead and remove this, because maybe it is taking away too much attention on our page. I'm just going to get rid of this margin top large like that. Let's save, and then we do another comparison. Okay, I'm going to refresh the page. All right. When you look at this, there is just something about this design. I know maybe it's me, okay? Maybe it's me. But tell me, when you look at this, and then when you look at this, is it the same? I'm pretty sure you have the answer. Please let me know in the comments box below if this looks the same or you think it's not a big deal, okay? So anyway, this is the design. Now the moment of truth. When we start making this screen smaller, is our text going to be responsive? And is our spacing, the margins that we have, how is that going to react? Because we know for a fact that when we try to do this with this design, things didn't turn out well. Look at that. Look at that. Okay? Things didn't turn out very well. So we want to see now what happens with our design now. Okay, let's go ahead and do it. Moment of truth. Watch the text. What's happening there? Okay? Do you see that we are maintaining our spacing here, over here, and pretty much everywhere? I know we have a lot of text here now, all bunched up together, but that's something that I'm probably fix in the next edition of, what's it called? SiteCrafter, okay? But so far, we've achieved quite a lot here in terms of our layout and our design. I mean, our text here is responsive. Look at how big it gets when it's a big screen. And look at how small it gets when it gets smaller. I guess I need to adjust this and make the text smaller, but that's a small fix. But you see how something so basic in terms of looks can be or can take long to design if you're using the basic install of Divi, whether it's Divi 4 or Divi 5. So this is why it's important to use a SiteCrafter framework, because the framework has all the ingredients in it for you to be able to design awesome looking websites that are consistent and that looks really, really nice. Now, I know this text here, I don't normally use it. That's why it wasn't tweaked, but normally all the headings would really work very well. Okay, this extra large text, I mean, something that I added today onto the framework just to match my design here with PayPal. Okay, now the other thing as well that I need to talk to you about briefly is all our classes are here. If you want fluent fonts, you just type in XK to your text. If you want content text, this SK content automatically, centers all your text, and it defaults it to 60 characters, which is ideal for us humans to read the text. Otherwise, the text will be so long for us to read. We have our body weight, we have uppercase, we have our section padding, which means our padding on our sections is all responsive, so you don't need to go in and start making changes on the mobile view and then on the tablet view. And no, that will make your design process take very long. If not scalable, chances are you're going to forget what values you're adding as you're designing your website. So this is my demonstration on how to replicate something as basic as this using SiteCrafter, and this is the closest we've got in our design process. Anyway, SiteCrafter is available for sale right now as we speak. In fact, let's go to SiteCrafter.com. And right now, I know you're going to say, Mac, you keep talking about SiteCrafter this, SiteCrafter that. Why isn't this landing page looking right? Even me looking at this, I'm ashamed because it's not following the UI spacing scale. Okay? That is because I hadn't updated SiteCrafter, because when I did this, SiteCrafter was not ready yet. I mean, with all these amazing features. So this is something that I'll be fixing very, very soon. But anyway, we're here because we need to check out the pricing. So we are on Cyber Monday. The deal is extended to 23 hours. So you may want to go ahead and get your copy of SiteCrafter. So I have two options here. I have the 167 for the lifetime membership. You purchase it once and you'll get all these updates unlimited, okay? Or yearly, $58. Again, it's unlimited websites, but this is going to change. I'm going to change the licensing system because I'm really seeing a lot of good feedback from this. I really need to further develop this, get a small team around this to make this really, really awesome. So yes, the little money that I can get from the sales of this product is going to help to further develop this product and make it even more awesome. But what I will say is, as an early adopter of SiteCrafter, go ahead and purchase this now because it's on lifetime license, okay? 167 lifetime. Anyway, I talk too much. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again in the next one. Take care.